Thank you for joining us for the next hour in this episode of Insight Myanmar podcast. In an age of nearly limitless content, we appreciate that you're choosing to take valuable time out of your day to learn more about what's happening in Myanmar. It's vital for this story to continue to be heard by people around the world, and that starts right now with you. We also want to add that the views shared in this episode on the topic that follows are for informational purposes only and do not constitute financial advice. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. And now, let's listen to what follows.
So can you explain to us in accessible terms what is the blockchain and what is its relationship to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin?
Yes. So, blockchain is a fundamental technology that enables cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to emerge or work. And I guess the first usage of blockchain is limited to cryptocurrencies. And by now, I guess most of us have already experienced mobile payments like a Wave in Southeast Asia. So for the case in mobile payment is that we have a central server which have all the users and their data and the ledger of who owns who some money, what's the money in each account, and they do all the transaction in this central database, which is owned by this company, of course. And we have laws legitimate these companies. We have laws to protect the money enabled by this kind of mobile payment. That's I guess most of people understand how it works. Uh, Blockchain and cryptocurrencies works differently as they create this decentralized ledger or decentralized database. So instead of holding all the data in one central database, now anyone actually can become a data validator and a data provider, you can say. No matter where you are or who you are, it just becomes a node in this decentralized web. And obviously, that will raise a question of how these different nodes, these distributed nodes, cooperate with each other and how they can avoid someone lies. And that actually relates to a mathematical question called the Byzantine generals problem, which Bitcoin becomes the first case that actually solved this communication problem. So what Bitcoin did is, and also what all the cryptocurrency did, is they come up with a algorithm, you can say. It's called the consensus mechanism. So for Bitcoin, really famously, is called his consensus mechanism is called the proof of work, which basically is each node they have in order to uh, add a block in the blockchain. So add some data in this blockchain. They have to solve a really complex mathematical problem, which is hard to solve but easy to validate. It's easy to you know uh, solve it backwards. So it's also called the one-way function. Uh, so what that would do is that in order to add some data to the blockchain, each node would have to use a lot of power, like computing power, to do it. So it's costly. But at the same time, because it's costly, you cannot just add it anyway. But at the same time, it's really cheap for others to validate it. So in this kind of a game theory, we reach an outcome that all the data in the blockchain is trustworthy. And also, the data provider, what I just said, the problem solver, they're actually getting rewarded by the system. So they get some Bitcoin or they get some other cryptocurrencies. That's also why they are called miners. So miners, nodes, or validators, they're all the same thing. They're just people providing the network of blockchain and people using their equipments to enable this decentralized ledger technology that later we can use to transact and we can use to build a decentralized currency on it.
And so there's an important element to this, which I'm sure we're going to get into when we start talking about censorship and privacy. But so you're saying that the fundamental difference here is that when you're talking about wave money or you're talking about a bank, they have the records, they have the ledgers. But the way Bitcoin works is we have a public ledger. Um,
Yes, which is really transparent and anyone can get access to it.
right. So then the question is, can the military also get access to this?
Yeah, actually, definitely, yes. So, I guess the difference here with blockchain concerning the censorship and surveillance problem is that by using blockchain, you are not directly under the surveillance of the military. Like if you are now using the banking system provided by the Myanmar government, basically it's transparent to the military. But when using blockchain, there's no man mandatory KYC. Anyone can create a wallet account. So that way, you are not directly under the surveillance. But also, because everything is on chain, people actually can get to know who get to know the wallet address and get to see the money go in and out of this wallet address. That's why also, as I guess a difference is here is like on blockchain, there's many tools we can use to protect our privacy, which we can go on next.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. But so I think for reference, it would be useful if we cover this. Can you tell us anything about the financial situation in Myanmar for people who are using conventional banks? Like we have, Ayawadi Bank, for example, is a relatively large bank. There are a couple of others, Shui Bank, whatever. If people are using these banks, what is the situation for them in terms of their ability to store their money safely, their ability to access their money and use their money to pay for things either physically or electronically, and their ability to avoid surveillance by the military?
Yes, of course. So, I guess some fact that now is widely accepted is the heavily and severe deflated sovereignty currency, which is the Myanmar jet in Myanmar. So before the 2021 military coup, the Myanmar jet raised to US dollar is 2,000 to one, but now it's like 5,000 to one. Although the official rate is still 2,000, but you cannot exchange 2,000 Myanmar yuan to one US dollar anywhere in Myanmar. You only find the black market rate, which is 5,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 yuan Myanmar yet to US dollar nowadays. So basically, when you have all the money you have in Myanmar yet from 2021 now is halved. Uh, that's how deflation works, right? And the other thing is there's the uh, underdeveloped and underpenetrated banking service. So in Myanmar, not so much people get their bank account, and there's from banks to banks, if they're in a different system, it's actually hard to transact into another bank. Also, if you want to transact money through the foreign banks into Myanmar, it creates a lot of issues. So the banking business itself is not that well developed. And also, I guess nowadays people have this urgent needs to do long distance transactions, especially there's a lot of people in exile after the military coup. So they have to get in connect with their families and friends still inside Myanmar. And if they go through the official banking service, it will I guess the most urgent question is that you will be heavily surveillanced. All the official banking channel is controlled by the military government, and what they do is that now they find Hondis to do it, and Hondi is this trust-based network of people who provide this underground financial service. But also, when Hondis handles things like big amount of things like international aids, it's not that trustworthy enough, and there has been cases that Hondis get this aid and they stop responding. So yeah, it will touch a lot of things to provide a full picture of the financial situation that Myanmar people now face. It's just something pop up in top of my head.
Yeah, because it's definitely something that I remember a few years ago, maybe in 2021, that people were standing in line for hours just to be able to withdraw money from an ATM or withdraw money from a bank, and there were
Yes.
very strict limitations on the amount of cash in the country.
Yes, especially in 2001. And I remember a really funny detail when uh, after the coup, obviously the bank started to limit the amount of cash and foreign currencies like USD that people can withdraw, obviously, because otherwise the banks will go bankrupt. So that creates this need, people are standing in line. And I remember this detail that like after a couple of months, the bank start to provide this VIP account, which you can pay for and get your priority in cash withdrawal. And there's like a higher limitation to this cash withdrawal. But after a while, those VIP account also have a low limitation in how much you can withdraw. So basically, the financial situation is not going really well, and people are starting to they're getting harder and harder for them to acquire foreign currencies, which is more stable, and also maybe cash. In some place, maybe not the big cities, but also but the place now controlled by the PDFs or the opposition force. Uh, those are places in the jungles and outside the city. And now in those places, cash is actually a more scared resource. And also the cash itself is priced. If you want to have cash, you have to pay a higher amount of that cash.
Mm. And which is really interesting because I remember living in Yangon before the coup, and more importantly, before COVID. Of course, it was a very cash economy. I remember people carrying literal sacks of cash, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth, into banks, and that was normal. And because of COVID, the risk of handling paper money was apparent. People understood that this would make you sick, and so there was a sudden spike in electronic payment, and there was very rapid adoption of payment by card, payment through phone banking app, and so on and so on and so forth. That would imply that in Myanmar, even if there is a limitation on cash, you can still use your phone, you can still use electronic payment methods to buy the things that you need. Is that actually true?
Actually, the penetration rate of mobile payments in Myanmar is really high. I guess it's reportedly about 80%. So a lot of people have their mobile payments account, which is really great. And I guess most of the place they can accept payments in mobile payments. But the thing happened after the coup is the banking service is heavily surveillance. And I guess a case would be uh, if you want to support the PDF, and if you want to transact to a account which is identified as belongs to PDF, uh, reportedly your bank account will be frozen without a notice, and your living place will be raided in about 6 months. And this happened to many journalists, many just residents. I guess the minimum amount of this transaction would be equals to like $10, and your bank account would be frozen. So that's the way how the military government is now in control of people's financial situation and their bank accounts. And that's also the why using traditional mobile payment method is not as equally safe as before the military coup.
Wow. So I think you're explaining very well here that there is very legitimate fear, not just that you're going to be monitored, but that chat, like cash chat and even electronic chat, in any system that the military has any involvement in, is not stable. It's not reliable. You can't exchange it at a realistic exchange rate. You can't because that's the thing. Of course, you say the black market exchange rate's 5,000 to 1 for the US dollar, and the military exchange rate's about 2,000 to 1. But of course, I could not purchase a US banknote. I could not purchase US dollars with 2,000 Myanmar chat. They wouldn't let the transaction happen. Correct?
Yes, but like it can happen reversely. So if you're a organization want to provide some international aid in US dollar to Myanmar, and you are doing it through the official, banking service, what's ended up is that you purchase like 10,000 US dollar there, but only 5,000 US dollar is used by people, because when it goes out of the bank, it's gonna be halved, and the other half is gonna directly support, it's gonna be directly support to the military government, which they can uh, maintain their infrastructures or buying weapons by it.
Hmm. So it's a very it's not just that it's unstable and unsafe to use the military supported financial systems. You're actually possibly undermining your own democracy. Yeah, supporting the military. I mean, that's ridiculous. So then, so what? So the alternatives. I know that obviously we want to talk about many ways that blockchain can be used, not just currency, but I think Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a very famous example. What are the ways in which Myanmar people are able to use cryptocurrencies in order to get around this? I know, for example, the NUG created a digital Myanmar chat cryptocurrency for NUG Pay. So, can you tell us about these types of systems?
Yes, yes. So, well, NUG Pay is also digital Myanmar Jet is a special digital currency which we call central bank digital currency. So it's not guaranteed and supported by all the miners, all the global community accepting this currency. It's actually only supported by the centralized central bank, and in the case of digital Myanmar Jet, is the NUG. So I think NUG Pay comes, as I recall it, in 2023 or something. And also NUG accept the stablecoin, recognize the stablecoin USDT as their official currency. So I guess those fact shows the attitude of NUG towards cryptocurrency. But the issue of NUG Pay, which I guess normally it was sounds like a perfect solution. We have the military power getting surveillancing and surveillancing and getting control of all the banking service. We have the opposite power developing their own technology, which can goes around this system, which sounds perfectly. But the issue of NUG Pay is like it requires an agent. You have to find an agent to buy in the digital Myanmar jet. And these agents are not that easy to find, especially in military controlled place. So by now, I guess the newest report only shows that the NUG Pay has less than 30,000 users. So it's definitely not widely accepted by the citizens in Myanmar. Also, I think some of my informants, when I'm doing my report, some of my informant told me that they it's poorly developed, so it's really hard to use. And when people are handling things like international aids and peer-to-peer P2P payments, in NUG Pay is not that well an option. So the other option obviously would be just those payment methods widely accepted by the global blockchain and cryptocurrency community, which is the stablecoin mostly. And also, if you get access some major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum.
So I just want to go back to the problem with the NUG Pay. So you're saying that you need to find an agent. So what is the idea here? Is that it is not possible to purchase the digital Myanmar chat through electronic means? You have to purchase it in person?
Yeah, you have to find the person and you have to I think that he will give you a code or something. But the things I know is like the reported I read and also the something my informant told me. So you have to find an agent, he will give you a code or validation that you can buy digital Myanmar. So it's not that wildly adopted
Hmm.
or widely distributed.
That's really unfortunate. So you're talking about stablecoin. So stablecoin, if I'm correct, is a coin whose value is pegged to an actual fiat currency. In this case, the US dollar. Um, so you're talking about stablecoins USDT. You're talking about Bitcoin. You're talking about, I think, Ethereum. So what platforms are people using to buy and sell these coins?
Oh, yes. So, just let me be clear. Stablecoin is not Bitcoin or Ethereum. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're not backed by any sovereignty currencies, but stablecoin, there's a company who handles this trustworthiness of this currency. They will back enough USD to support the USDT. So actually, you can, if you are in the US, you can exchange the USDT into USD from their company, but there's a really slight transaction fee. And also, they're really transparent for this for their financial situation, so they're rather trustworthy. Although I recommend anyone who wants to adopt a stablecoin to pay close attention to those companies and their financial situation, because basically you are handling your money, you are giving your money, deposit your money to someone else. But for now, and relatively speaking, is trustworthy. But other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum, however, they are more fluctuated. So they are in the exchange place. They are more like a stock or investment. The money goes sometimes higher, sometimes lower, and the fluctuation of this uh, so how to explain this is the price of this money is not stable enough, and if you want to handle it and tries to especially do payments on it is nearly impossible. It's more like a investment. So I will recommend people using stablecoin, of course, and also is something widely adopted by in other business, not only the in Myanmar and not only in intentional aid.
So you've raised an interesting issue here when we talk about the fluctuations, because as you point out with the stablecoin, it doesn't fluctuate. Its value is tied to the US currency, but we have to have faith in the company. Even if the company has the liquidity, even if the company has, the transparency, we have to have faith in a company. Whereas when we look at Ethereum or Bitcoin or any of these free floating coins, as you say, the prices fluctuate, and we've seen a general trend, especially with Bitcoin, of rising in value over the last, I'd say like 20 years. But at the same time, there have been massive drops in Bitcoin. It's not super stable in that regard. So comparing this to Myanmar chat, would you say that a person is better off with a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ethereum than Myanmar chat in terms of maintaining the value of your funds?
I
And
would say definitely yes.
oh yes, yes.
Especially because Myanmar jet is the deflation issue is not solved and it's going much like more and more severe. So if you adopting anything in Myanmar jet, so your funds is basically definitely going down in a short term and also in a long term. If you are adopting Bitcoin or Ethereum, well, Ethereum is not doing so good recently, but Bitcoin is like uh, historically or like also in the short term is really strong. So I would recommend actually if you have a if you have access to it, uh, using those cryptocurrencies instead of the sovereignty currency, especially Myanmar Jet, will be like more stable.
Wow. Okay. I mean, so I mean that's a really good endorsement there. Um, but so now we get to the more sort of practical question: how do you get your hands on this stuff? Because if you're internationally, it's fine. Most of us are able to buy Bitcoin, although obviously there are a lot of countries where regulations exist. But if you're in Myanmar and what you have is Myanmar chat cash and Myanmar chat sitting in a bank account, is it possible for you to start purchasing cryptocurrency and start using it for payments?
Yes. So I guess the most safe way and the most easy way to get cryptocurrency is to find another people who have cryptocurrency. And in the situation of Myanmar, it means sometimes means you have to go to the black market or sometimes you have to go to the Hondis. So it's reportedly that all the Hondis in Myanmar which are handling, these transactions and also for Burmese, they definitely knows Hondis. So it's reported that these Hondis already are handling cryptocurrencies. So I guess by now you can find Hondis who willing to sell you cryptocurrencies, and it's easy. You just have your wallet, they have their wallet, they're gonna make this transaction to you. But also please mind yourself because there has been issues that the military agent uh, working for the military government, they will pretend as this peer-to-peer, you know, uh, people who provide you cryptocurrencies, and that will cause your bank account get frozen because cryptocurrency is labeled as illegal by the military government. So please find a trustworthy Hondi. If you are in Myanmar, you should do it. If you are like in other place, there's more options. The most commonly adopted option, which is less safer than peer-to-peer transaction, is to find the cryptocurrency exchange like Binance, OKX, or other exchange place. There's a bunch of them. Please find the major ones because also there's a lot of scams relating to cryptocurrency exchange. And also, I would say all this exchange except like exchange place like OKX, which is more they function in a decentralized way. Uh, I would say relatively decentralized way. But for exchange place like Binance, it's just a company and it can go bankrupt. And it has happened before. In 2021, the biggest cryptocurrency exchange play FTX goes bankrupt 1 year later. And that means all the money still on this exchange place is evaporated and just people and ending up with no money. So a centralized exchange place is not 100% safe, but it's really easy. You can find peer-to-peer buying you can find people selling cryptos. You can just buy it. It goes into your exchange place account, and it can goes back to your own crypto wallet. But another issue about this centralized exchange place is that they request a KYC, so you have to somehow get your identity recorded on those places. I guess for Binance is the same in any countries. You have to do KYC there. And Binance keep operating in Myanmar after the coup. So there's 1 or 2 years after the coup, you can still use Binance. Is still on the App Store. You can install it, and also they have their team in Yangon or someplace. But I think in it's last year or in 2023 when Binance is also banned, so it's not showing up in the App Store. Their website is also blocked. You cannot get access to Binance. But if you are registered in another area and you're using a VPN, and that will enable you to still using some centralized exchange, crypto exchange, and you can buy in cryptos.
And so there are a couple of things going on there, but so you mentioned the KYC. So for the uninitiated, that means know your customer or know your client. It's basically identity check and verification. The one of the advantages of cryptocurrency is the anonymity that it provides. That you are able to buy and sell and trade without your actual government identification being associated with your account and with your transactions. And yet, you're saying that a lot of these exchanges are now either because of pressure from governments or just because of their own administrative decisions are now requiring that you provide government ID. So, what does that mean for people in a situation like in Myanmar, where giving your ID to these people could theoretically send you to jail?
Yes, I would say so. So if you are in Myanmar, please be really cautious if you want to use Binance. And also, as I just mentioned, some of the P2P cryptocurrency providers in Binance, they can be government agent. So if you are buying things from them, you probably get there's a chance you get your bank account frozen, and those things have happened before. But a more easy way, a more like a safe way to get cryptocurrencies, I would say just to get it from someone you trust, and or you do it by someone you trust, because you can ask if you know someone abroad, you can ask them to buy in for you, and you can ask them to transact to you. And also those transactions are transparent on chain. You can still use a lot of tools to remain remain anonymous, just to hide your transaction record.
But so it sounds very much like Myanmar has with regard to cryptocurrency in general, it sounds like there's the same problem that we were talking about with NUG Pay, that you have to
Mhm.
find a person, an agent, who is able to accept your money and give you the cryptocurrency in exchange. There's no real convenient way for people to access cryptocurrency exchanges.
Yes,
Um, and
yes.
and even then, like as you say, that there have been risks with cryptocurrency exchanges and ventures. You know, for those who followed cryptocurrency, Mount Gox was a very good example of some shady business practices happening internally, and things like BitConnect that went completely face down. So there is still risk. Are there any ways in which people can minimize these risks? Are there any places that you know are reputable, are transparent, are not likely to go bankrupt, are not likely to steal the coins out of people's wallets? Do not do KYCs. Like, are there any places that you know of, or any things that people can do to get around this?
Yeah, so for normal citizens, as I just suggested, I guess you you have to find a trustworthy enough Hondi or someone from the black market, and those things are really common in Myanmar. So it's not like we're speaking of black market in other countries. I guess in places like Argentina, Myanmar, Africa, those people, this place without a really trustworthy enough sovereignty currency, black market and things like Hondas, people who provide this underground transaction service is pretty normal. Everyone will know someone. So I guess that would be much easier and much safer for you to just register the Binance account and try to get some blockchain from actually a stranger on the internet. What the Binance was doing and what the cryptocurrency exchange was doing is just matching you with the stranger on the internet who are willing to provide the cryptocurrency. But the case in Myanmar is like the KYC is not that good because if you want to do KYC, you have your identity bounded to your wallet, and that would be a bad idea if you are in Myanmar because the identity information is is being collected by the government. I would say for citizens, that's the way. But if you are institutions wants to send international aids, or you are just people abroad wants to send money to your relatives, your friend inside Myanmar, and also I would say that's in urgent need, especially after the earthquake in the last happened last month. There's a lot of people who wish to support Myanmar, and I guess by then, because I also heard news is there's a wild discussion about how to support Myanmar in the earthquake, and people soonly find out that if we send just through the traditional channel and we're just providing international aid to the government, it's not being used to people. And that's I guess if you are paying attention to the news, also if you know someone who are handling those international aids, you're pretty soon notice that when you're handling those aids in traditional channels, it's not that ideal. It's not being directly used to people suffering from the earthquake. So I would say you can try to adopt cryptocurrencies, and for you, maybe in your country or in your region, to use Binance or to use other crypto exchange is not that it's not that risky, and you can buy it there, and you can use some tools that's Tornado Cash or other tools. There's actually a bunch of them to maintain your anonymity, and you can sorry, not abnormality, anonymity, and you can send those cryptocurrencies to trustworthy enough institutions inside Myanmar. And there's also like Cola Pay, which is a tool you can use to also an institution that helps to handle those international aids. So if you are into that situation, if you are abroad and you wish to transact money directly to Myanmar people, please get more information from those untraditional channels of money transaction.
Mm. And I just wanted to have like a final clarification on this. If you are using an exchange that has a KYC that requires you to give your identity, is your identity being stored publicly on the blockchain as well, or is the KYC purely internal?
So the KYC is only your information is only recorded by the company. So if you are doing Binance KYC, Binance knows your identity, like your cell phone numbers, your emails. Some place requires your social identity number. But Binance also has a really close relation to the government, wildly. So in place more authoritarian place, that would means the government knows your identity.
Okay, so that's a very important distinction to make there. So, something that uh, obviously has come up in this discussion a couple of times is the legal status of this. And from my understanding from our previous discussion, um, cryptocurrency was only made illegal after the coup by the military. Is that true?
Yes, yes.
Interesting. So why why can we understand this better? Is the military threatened by cryptocurrency? Is the military, are they worried that transactions are happening that they cannot control? Are they worried that the value of their banks is going to drop if people stop using them? What's their primary concern?
Yeah, I would definitely think so. The military would definitely, first of all, directly after the coup, they are trying to shut down any resource that people, uh, you know, people are, uh, they are shut down any channels people get out of Myanmar in order to stable the rate of this currency. So if there's a lot of channels that people can exchange Myanmar jet into foreign currencies, also cryptocurrency is one of the option, uh, that will cause the uh, drop in value of Myanmar jet, and also that will cause the fortune host by like the fortune of military government were dropped because a lot of them are in Myanmar jet. You can imagine if there's uh, enough people selling Myanmar jet, the military government cannot exchange Myanmar jet into US dollars, and they cannot do their international trading like resource trading or energy trading anymore because it's getting more and more costly. So that would be one of the reasons why the military government illegalized cryptocurrency right after the coup. But also the military government is famous for its control over the money channel. So they have this full card policy, which is I guess well known and also notorious. Uh, One of the full card is to cut the channel for money, and that means the military government tries to control all the channels people transact and all the flows of money. And cryptocurrency is something they cannot control because it's not like digital payment. They definitely got control on KBZ Pay or Wave, but they cannot control a payment that don't have a centralized database and it's done by this decentralized web. So I would say that's one also the reason why later, cryptocurrency will be like more and more putting them in a disadvantaged place.
Mm. And so, given that, what do we have figures for the level of penetration of cryptocurrencies in Myanmar? Because a lot of the places in the country do not have regular internet access. Many places do not even have regular electricity supply. And as
Yes.
you say, it's illegalized and all these other complications. So, do we have an idea
Yeah.
of how many people are using it?
So I would say it's pretty low, judging by the fact there's still no domestic cryptocurrency exchange. So if you are holding cryptocurrencies, uh, much likely you cannot buy anything with it. You can only use it as a store of value, and you can only use it when you want to transact money into a foreign place. So I've been doing investigations, so I've been talking to people, and the fact is like now, first of all, there's no domestic exchange used by cryptocurrencies inside Myanmar. That will that will respond to the fact that I stated before, you cannot buy things via cryptocurrencies, but you can find Hondis who are willing to handle cryptocurrencies. Only, if you are going to Hondis, there's a higher rate you have to pay, and that will cause the frictions during the transaction procedure. If you do it just peer to peer, like you are abroad and someone are inside Myanmar, and you two both have a wallet address, you can just send money to him without any friction. But if you want to find a Hondi, then it will cost more friction, or it will cost more money. So
Okay.
Hondis are willing to handle cryptocurrencies, which is a nice sign, signaling that there's more people adopting cryptocurrencies inside Myanmar, and also there's people providing service for foreign companies to pay their domestic employer in cryptocurrency. There's services provided by people that for foreign company because they are lacking normal ways to pay their domestic employers. By domestic, I mean inside Myanmar. So there are some people providing the service to pay them in cryptocurrencies and also train those domestic employers to use wallet and to use wallet to accept their wage. So that's obvious. And also, there's a report that in the illegal business inside Myanmar, especially the scam centers and also the gambling business, there's a wild adoption of cryptocurrencies. Nearly all their it's reported that nearly all their business are going with cryptocurrencies, and I guess that's one of the reasons why, as a like an independent and as an individual, I hope to see more people adopting cryptocurrencies actually, because if the illegal business can run on cryptocurrencies, that means that cryptocurrencies work in Myanmar because yeah, you see people using it, even though it's related to those business, but the technology itself is neutral. So that means to some extent, you can imagine people using cryptocurrency in domestic exchange, which would heavily reduce the friction to do this international transactions and stuff. Yeah, because for example, for now, if you are an institution want to do international aids and you are sending cryptocurrency inside Myanmar, people in Myanmar still have to find some black market and some ponies willing to handle those things. And when they withdraw money from them, there's a certain proportion that will go into that service, right? So there's still it's not middleman free, it's not friction free. But if you can imagine more and more people adopt wallet, if more people have wallet and more people willing to and have the knowledge to use cryptocurrencies, those situation would be much better. Yeah.
And so this is what I'm wondering, because you're obviously, I don't know all the details of the research that you do and how much information you can get from the ground, but
Hmm.
do you get the sense that people who are using cryptocurrency in Myanmar, do you get the sense that they currently feel that this was a wise investment, or the fact that there are not enough places that accept cryptocurrency, it's not something that you can pay your rent in, it's not something that you can pay for groceries in, is there more of a sense among people that, well, this would be very useful if everybody used it, but there aren't enough people using it to make it worthwhile?
Yeah, there's enough people to use it that people can do domestic exchange through it. But in my research and in my report, I guess there's a intrinsic need or intrinsic appealing to Burmese to adopt cryptocurrencies because the situation they're facing. It's some situation that cryptocurrencies technology promise to solve, but when they're actually using it, there's like much more complex. It's much more complex and even though it provides a solution, it still requires enough people to adopt it and enough people to work on it.
Mm. Okay, so I think that puts us in a good position to understand cryptocurrency. So
Yeah.
let's sort of transition then to blockchain, because blockchain has many applications. It's something that
Yes.
we've seen. I believe blockchain even came up with the non fungible token craze of a
Hmm.
few years ago. So what are the fundamental? I don't know. It's even difficult for me to make a question because I don't fully understand it.
Yeah, yeah. I will.
How is
I can.
blockchain being used here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I guess to understand the application, and also maybe later we can talk about Tornado Cash, which
Hmm.
is one of those applications, and those application is a specialized one called decentralized application or DApp. So the
Hmm.
difference here is that when blockchain, this technology first invented by Nakamoto, it's not used to write. It's not. It cannot be used to develop software on it. The only application is to make transaction, and that's it. Blockchain is only a technology bounded to cryptocurrencies. But it's later when but also this concept come actually several years earlier, but later by Ethereum, what the founder of Ethereum did is that they come up with this technology called smart contract. What they do is that they rewrite the fundamental coding language of blockchain to enable people to write software on blockchain. So imagine if you are a software developer, like if you want to write a website or if you want to develop a platform or something, you have to have a central server which holds all your codes, and people are connecting to the central server using your software and getting data in and out of it. But what blockchain did is that all those codes are actually written on chain, and each time uh, those software are used, people have to pay a certain amount of transaction fee. So it's like transaction, but also but you can now do transaction with the software, and that will cause software with no central server, with no companies hold it. And that will bring us to this case of Tornado Cash. So Tornado Cash provides anonymity on transaction. What it did is like it's a pooling protocol. You can uh, put some money inside Tornado Cash, and they will give you a code that only accessible to you, and you can use another wallet to withdraw money through Tornado Cash. And because there's large enough people to do it, they create this, real tornado. So you cannot see who is sending money to whom, because there's multiple people handling the same amount of money. Yes, in Tornado Cash, you can only uh, stake the certain amount of money. You cannot stake like whatever amount you want. You can only stake it like 100 Ethereum or 1 Ethereum or zero point 0.1 Ethereum. So you cannot be traced. That's also why it's a really controversial technology, because obviously it provides a perfect tool for money laundering. Like Tornado itself is like a laundering metaphor, right? So that's also why I guess in several years ago, the U.S. government decided to sanction this tour. But because it's a decentralized web, even though their team dismembered at that point and they do not no longer support this tool, it's still on the blockchain, and people can still build their own interface and using the same technology, so it's still be used. And also, the legal status of Tornado Cash is eased because and also more legalized because just last year, there comes the innocent sentence of their founding members, and also the technology itself is recognized as neutral. So even though it provides a way for money laundering, but itself is just an innocent technology, and also it cannot actually being withdrawn anymore because it's on the blockchain. It's not hosted by any central server. So, and also that's one of the reasons why it's trustworthy enough, because all this uh, depositing and withdrawing procedure is handled by the decentralized application. It's not handled by a central server. So there's no chance that people just went away and you cannot withdraw anymore.
And I just like that point that you made, by the way, that with the Tornado Cash, sorry, you have to make transactions in specific denominations.
Yes.
Because this is a trick that a lot of people don't realize. You can funnel money through many different intermediaries. You can try to send it through 5 different countries, but at
Hmm.
the end of the day, the exact dollar amount that you
Yes.
sent and the exact dollar amount that arrived cannot be changed. They cannot be hidden. Every dollar
Yes.
exists somewhere, and this is a very easy way for governments to track you. And so
Yes.
what Tornado Cash is doing is that's a really clever solution to that problem,
Yes. Yes.
which would definitely help in the Myanmar context.
Definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
But yes, but let's look at non-monetary applications
Oh, yes,
of,
sure.
of the blockchain, because you say like blockchain is not something you can write software for, and it's
Mhm.
designed specifically for currency, but there are non-currency applications, aren't there?
Yes, is so the blockchain for Bitcoin is not something you can write software on. But actually now, like just several years ago, people come up with new technology called the Lightning Network, which will enable you to write codes on Bitcoin blockchains. But it requires other technologies attached to it. But it's pretty smart. So there's development in technology, but all the blockchain that's after the Ethereum, the major blockchains after Ethereum, they all support smart contract, which means you can basically write software on it with their coding language.
Okay. And so what would they be able to do with this?
Yeah, so what you can do is you well, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. For yeah, how would I start actually?
So okay, so let's look at a specific case within the Myanmar context. So let's look at the Rohingya IDs, because I understand the Rohingya have started issuing identifications that don't come from a central government, but because they are utilizing blockchain, they are more reliable.
Yes. So, one thing the blockchain can do is it can provide trustworthiness, and those trustworthiness can be adopted to a lot of things. The major adoption is the trustworthiness of a currency, but you can also imagine that you can uh, be adopted to a credential, like an education credential. It can also be adopted to an identity credential because all the things, all the history and all the data of this credential and uh, this trustworthiness of this credential is on chain, transparent, and it cannot be shifted or it cannot be edited. That's why there's comes this application and also a project called the Rohingya project. As far as I know it, they're still in their test flights. They are getting in touch and they're trying to mass adopt it through the Rohingya community, which a lot of them actually lacks the official identity provided by the government, and they are using it to they are using the blockchain to issue those identity, which you can imagine as an NFT or as an uh, what we will call soulbound token. It's just a identification that you can own in your wallet, but it represents your identity. Rohingya project is someone who publicly are doing it. I guess there's other project which is not publicly doing it, but still requires and seeking some solutions through blockchain that can provide credentials to educations in or identities in Myanmar, which is now lacking the an official government to record or issuing. Yes.
Mm. And so it's I think this is an underappreciated element, because again, like as we've been discussing for most of the last hour, that the financial implications of blockchain, but something like this being able to decentralize not just payments but decentralize something like identity verification is it will empower communities. And I wonder if you can talk also about the censorship. I understand that blockchain can be used to try to circumvent military censorship. Is there some application there?
Uh, I would say well, this question actually relates to a dilemma of blockchain itself and also this business, because the idea of blockchain comes from hackers, come from cypherpunk communities, which is the community which to use cryptography to provide to protect civil right and civil privacy. But if you look at the business, the things what we just mentioned, the things to provide privacy and the things to provide other applications aside, financial and payments, it's not that well appreciated. It's not that well invested. people are more willing to use blockchain as a financial tool to increase their personal value, increase their fortune rather than using it as a tool to protect civil rights. So I guess that's the dilemma the business itself faced. But still, we can find some project like Tornado Cash, like Rohingya project I just mentioned, who are willing to adopt this technology for in other areas. And speaking of resisting the censorship, uh, one of the things the blockchain can do is called the IPFS. So it's a file system. You can upload things like news report or things like the articles you write or things like videos and stuff on blockchain. You have to pay a certain amount, of course, but it will stay there. It cannot be shaped. It cannot be moved. And it cannot be censored. So that's one thing blockchain now is capable of doing. You can use things like waiver to actually doing it. There's also things like Matters, which is a decentralized place you can publish stuff. Uh, Also, the blockchain, like the idea of blockchain, which is a decentralized network or a decentralized internet that provided by all the validators and miners. This idea itself is it can resist direct censorship, done by a government to a centralized server or centralized database. Because by then, the only thing the government should do is to find this company or find this central server and get control on it. But now with blockchain, you cannot find all the validators. It's definitely not possible to control all of them. If you can control half of them, you can control the whole blockchain, but that's also impossible. So the technology itself is built to, in some way, to resist censorship because it cannot be directly controlled. However, the application of censorship resisting is not that much. But still, as we just mentioned, you can issue identity on it. You can store files, uncensored files, and news reports on it. You can do transaction on it uncensored. Uh, People also imagine to do communication uncensored on blockchain, but that will be really costly if you do it. So because if you want to do daily transaction, if you want to do daily communication, the amount of data you're sending is like a little high, a little too high. I guess end-to-end in cipher technology would be better, like application like signals will be better in those tasks. So I guess that's you know some applications you can use nowadays. I hope to say more, and I'm sure definitely there's more applications can be developed. But develop an application is not like providing a technology. It's not only providing this technology, but also finding people to accept it, making it more user friendly, and also just educate people to using it. It's like a lot of tasks to do.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, there are some definite barriers to entry, but I just wanted to go back a little bit on the communicative element of this. So social media control is enormous, right? We obviously know that governments get involved on social media. I mean, China's a very good example of this, but also in Myanmar, they do try to take down a lot of content, and a lot of the social media companies are based in the United States. And so obviously the US government is able to put pressure on them to take down content. So are you saying that through the blockchain, it would be possible for people to publish content, publish, let's say, a written article or a report on war crimes or atrocities or something like this, and have it on the internet available to the public in a way that it could not be removed by the government? Is that something you're saying?
Yes, but of course, if you want to make it public to accessible to the public, which I assume there's a presumption there is like this access is free. then you will require a team or a company to handle those things. Because if you want to send data and also to retrieve data from blockchain, it's all costly. You have to pay a small amount, even though it's not that pricey actually. But now we already have some tools and some companies, like some projects dealing with this censorship resisting decentralized publishing stuff, like Matters I just mentioned.
Okay. So the possibilities are there. So then let's talk about the other limiting factor that you've mentioned here, which is the cost. Running all of this stuff, if I make transactions using Bitcoin, for example, I buy Bitcoin, I sell Bitcoin, all this stuff. Or let's say in the case of the Rohingya, making the IDs, storing those on a blockchain system, or if we're trying to publish content to avoid censorship, all of these things. What is the actual cost financially to using these systems? Is it a high enough cost to stop people from wanting to use these alternatives to centralized government systems?
Yeah, actually, earlier the days in cryptocurrencies, the transaction fee is an issue because, as you can imagine it, there's limited number of people doing miners, so the bandwidth of this network is actually limited, and there's a bunch of people are wishing to doing transactions, and there's bunch of data generating. It's create this competitive market that the price to send data on blockchain is pricey. But that thing got solved, like eased a lot after there's a new technology come up called the layer two. So what the layer two did is like it creates another blockchain uh, parallel to the main blockchain. So for Ethereum, there's now bunch of layer twos, and those layer twos also have their independent validators, have their consensus mechanism, but it will provide a much faster and much more bandwidth for customers. So after layer two comes along, also Bitcoin now have its own layer twos. It eased and lowered the transaction fee really obviously. And now when I want to transact a small amount of money or a big amount of money on like Ethereum mainnet, it's not that costly. It's definitely less than I would say it's less than maybe just a just a little cent is it's a really small amount of money it requires. If you want to do it on Bitcoin, it's a little bit more costly, but on Ethereum and also on other blockchain like Solana or Tron, it's like even less costly.
Okay, and so let's turn then to the final limiting factor, and this is something that you did make passing mention of, and that is the difficulty associated with learning all of these systems. So banks obviously invest a lot of money into their banking websites and their banking apps to try and make everything convenient and easy and intuitive. It might not necessarily be the most secure, but it will be easy to use. With obviously with cryptocurrencies, we are not looking at apps that have been designed for the greatest level of customer convenience because they might not afford it, and of course we are prioritizing safety and security, and these always are a little bit more complicated, a little bit less convenient to use. So do you feel that over time things are moving in a direction where cryptocurrency and not just crypto but other blockchain based technologies will be easier for people to understand? Because Myanmar is a country that went through its technological revolution very, very, very quickly.
Yes,
And
I think
yeah,
that's actually something I will keep advocating because uh I think people in the business they are more focused on the financial use of blockchain. So for financial community, like people in financial business, they're all well educated. They have the ability to learn this tool. So there's not so much a need to, easy the use of a wallet, for example, or easy the use of Bitcoin, or either the use of cryptocurrency payments. But for the mass majority that will be potentially the user of cryptocurrencies, which in return will actually support the price of cryptocurrencies, because if there's more people using it, there's a more chance there's a wild is like wildly accepted and is definitely more valuable. So actually I will urge people to uh, find easier ways to adopt to use to develop your applications, and also to do mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. Now I only see like place when there's actually a use case of mass cryptocurrencies mass adoption, like in Argentina or in Myanmar. Actually, I have mentioned the institution ColaPay. They are trying to they are trying to make their uh, make a tour like a wallet, which is like definitely easy to use, only support stablecoin, and can be mass distributed, even though it's still not still not published. And I see similar case in Africa. I see similar case in Argentina, South America. Uh, Only those places when there's actually team and developing uh, engineers who wish to build a easier use of those technologies. But in like Asia or in like North America, people are more focused on like financial use of this technology, which is sad to me, because I mean, I understand, like, for financial business, blockchain is really phenomenal, but just remember it, if there's more people using this technology, itself will support the technology and support the financial use of this technology too. So please, please come new development, please come new tours to, you know, benefit the mass adoption of cryptocurrency.
And so that sort of leads us to looking towards the future. In a situation like Myanmar, let's presume that unfortunately the conflict will continue for the foreseeable future. Do you think that there is sufficient technological understanding, sufficient access to internet, sufficient access to electricity, and sufficient financial infrastructure in place? You know, you've been mentioning the Hundies, for example. Is there enough that we could really see widespread, massive adoption of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency systems in Myanmar to liberate the people from the military's own financial systems? Or do you think that the financial limitations and technological limitations are just too great?
Well, I will actually think the infrastructure situation, and also the financial situation there is well enough to support the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. Because for cryptocurrencies, uh, an important why is it is in need in Myanmar is to store value, and is to resist the deflation, and, you know, the reducing of your own deficit, because you saves a lot. People have their own savings, but due to deflation, is the value of their savings are decreasing. But use cryptocurrencies, you can really fight against those things. So if the use case is not about day-to-day payments, the internet need and the electricity need is not that high. You only have to remember your wallet, your private key to your wallet. That's well enough. You can already use cryptocurrencies in that sense. Well, in day-to-day payment sense, I will also say, because the thing like the internet infrastructure in Myanmar is now like in liberated area is now backed up by Starlink, and in big cities is still heavily censored by provided by the government. So, but there's link. You can get access to internet periodically, or if you pay in some internet cafes in the liberated area, you can get access to internet. It's not like it's not as badly damaged as people imagine, but also it's heavily damaged compared to other countries when there's a basic internet supply. So I would say with those internet supply, people already got enough infrastructures to sometimes get a transaction, sometimes send a transaction. And I would say those situations might be eased and might be better if the if the civil war won't go like more severe. Now it's like the civil war is more like a stalemate, and I hope it's gonna be less and less more severe. But we none of us knows what's going on next. And I think an example we can use to imagine is Argentina. So in Argentina, there's this long history of distrust in their sovereignty currency. And now in Argentina, there's 20% of their population have an cryptocurrency wallet. And if you go there, they have all these cryptocurrency blockchain events. There's a lot of developers, but at the same time, a lot of them are also hackers. And that's the number. And also, there's a lot of players who will accept cryptocurrency day-to-day payments. So that's kind of a situation I would imagine Myanmar becomes, even though there's also the limitation of infrastructure. But I would say there's going to be wilder and wilder adoption. Maybe not mass adoption, depending on how you define mass. But yeah, I would say there's definitely going to be more and more adoption of cryptocurrencies in Myanmar in the near future.
Okay. So I think that, I mean, that's definitely an optimistic note. We've seen so many negative things lately, and it's not even now in our most recent coverage of the earthquake. Everything we're hearing is just negative about how the military is negatively impacting aid, how the military is stopping people from getting to where they need to go, stopping aid from where it needs to go, and relief. And cryptocurrency and more basically than that, the blockchain is not going to solve these problems, but as the very least, it is going to offer people a way to operate without the military getting in the way of them doing what they need to do. So at the very least, there's an optimism here.
Uh, So I would say if you are someone, because the only thing I know is blockchain related and financial related broadly. So if you are someone who handles international transactions, especially international aid, please ca- give a notice to blockchain or give a notice to cryptocurrencies, give a notice to all the tools I mentioned, and hopefully it will be listed in the show notes of this episode. Give them some attention and some research. You will find an alternative way to do what you are doing right now. And for people like more normal people just trying to do daily payments and trying to do transactions, maybe in and out of Myanmar, be cautious. But still, I would say there's new technologies that would bring a new imagination of the financial situation you guys are facing right now. And for potential developers and also for engineers, uh, Burmese or not Burmese, I would say Myanmar is a really the situation in Myanmar and the especially real world adoption chance in Myanmar is highly uh, valuable. So please pay attention. Please bring up more project that's focused on this situation there, and it will bring much more value to this technology itself and the whole business. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Insight Myanmar Podcast. Each episode we produce is offered freely and always will be. Our goal is to inform, engage, and inspire as many people as possible with stories from voices that matter. And thanks to your support, we've been able to reach tens of thousands of listeners across the globe. This is truly remarkable. But to sustain this momentum, we do need your help. Even if a small percentage of our listeners committed to a very modest monthly pledge, we would not only be able to sustain our momentum, but grow. Even better, you might consider becoming a member to deepen your engagement with this platform and thereby gaining access to additional content and other exclusive benefits. So if you found value in what we offer and want to help secure the future of this work, however you want to make that happen, please visit insightmyanmar.org/donation to make a pledge, or navigate to insightmyanmar.org/membership to look at our member options. With your help, we can keep this work alive and thriving.
What about Yarananga Unyana, Daduya, Danabiri Ganeza, the Mana, we got a Besayana, Besayo. Oba Yarananda, Dayananga, Yaranaya, Dayanam, Boda, Yaranam.